Let's see if I can get it on take 5. Hi book lovers, my name is Christina and welcome back to Cozy Novel Niche. Today I'm here to film my Nonfiction November TBR. Finally, I know I will be so late in uploading it. I'm filming it when November already started, so I'm already late, but I really wanted to get out with this video because Nonfiction November always makes me so excited. If you don't know what it is a month-long kind of reading activity that was started by Book Olive here on BookTube, and she's just amazing. If you are not following her, go, I will leave the link to her channel down below. She's just an amazing booktuber and an amazing reader and reviewer. I adore her content. It's always so insightful and I just love listening to her speaking. And this is a month during which we are all encouraged to read more nonfiction. And when I mean more, it's literally more. Whatever is the amount of nonfiction books that you read during a year, just try to read a little bit more. So if it's 0, it's literally take one nonfiction book and read it during this month and you're in. And for me, I'm trying to add more and more nonfiction in my life. I discovered that I actually love this genre quite a lot. I don't know if it's even correct to define it as genre because it's so vast. I mean, nonfiction can cover literally everything you're curious about, any hobby you can have, any passion, any interest in your life. I assure you there is a book that's been written about it, and just go and find it and you will love it. That's the amazing part. You just generally end up loving nonfiction. And so here I have my pile of books, and this is my I would love to TBR, but it will never happen TBR, so let's get to this TBR. And the very first book that I would love to read during this month, and that I actually started like yesterday, is Tea, The Drink That Changed the World by Laura C. Martin. This is a nonfiction book about tea. It's as easy as that. I mean, I'm a huge tea lover. I know I'm Russian, like my origin is Russian, so this means that I'm kind of blood-bound to love tea, probably. I drink 5 cups of tea, like average, per day, and I love tea. I love it black, I love it green, I love it white, I love it red. I love it with no sugar whatsoever because I want to taste the flavor. I love all kinds of flavor almost except the lemony ones because I'm not a huge fan of lemon, and no ginger please because I don't like ginger. But everything else I just kind of love. And so I just wanted to know more about tea. I recently watched a full documentary on tea on Netflix, and then I decided why not to read a book about tea. I've never read a book about tea, and it's one of the biggest passions, it's not even a passion, the biggest rituals that I have in my everyday life, and I know so little about it. So I decided to get this book, and it's quite tiny. At the end of the day, it was a bit pricey, but it's quite tiny. It's like 240 pages, but it has some illustrations inside of it, and so far so good. I'm like on page 12. And it already explained you what a tea plant is, how it looks like, and if you want to plant one for yourself, what you need to know. So it's already insightful, and I just cannot wait to read it. And this one I will finish for sure. I can bet on it during Nonfiction November. Then the second one that I would really love to get to, and this is like my priority book after the tea one, is Hood Feminism, Notes from the Women White Feminists Forgot. Nikki Kendall is the writer. And the reason why I want to prioritize this book is that it has been on my past Nonfiction Novembers, TBRs, and I wanted to read it during the year, but then I kind of wanted to keep it aside for Nonfiction November specifically every time, and ended up unfortunately not reading it. And this year it definitely has to happen. This is such an important book, I believe, and I would love to read it. And there are tons of reviews and discussions about this book that I'm constantly saving on my playlist and not listening to, because I don't want to have any kind of thoughts and not spoilers, just thoughts before reading it and experiencing it for the first time myself. So I want to read it and then watch every videos that are out there about this book. And this is a book, as you may understand from the title, it is about feminism, but it is from the point of view of Black women who have constantly been forgotten and diminished by white women when we're talking about feminism, because feminism is really about equal rights and seeing men and women as equals. But unfortunately, in the feminist movement, often we only focus on the needs of white women, forgetting that feminism is kind of intersectional and there is a lot of things and a lot of themes that are included. And so, for example, being a Black woman is not exactly the same thing as being a white woman nowadays, unfortunately. And I think that this book faces and tackles some of these issues. And then I will read you just a couple of things from the very first page here. It says, "I'm a feminist, mostly. I'm an asshole, mostly. All too often, the focus of mainstream feminism is not on basic survival for the many, but on increasing privilege for the few. Meeting basic needs is a feminist issue. Food insecurity, the living wage, and access to education are feminist issues. The fight against racism, ableism, and transmisogyny are feminist issues. White feminists often fail to see how race, class, sexual orientation, and disability intersect with gender. How can feminists stand in solidarity as a movement when there is a distinct likelihood that some women are oppressing others?" I think that this will be a very important read, and so this is the second book right after this one that will for sure make it to my wrap-up of November. And then we get to the I would love to, it would be so amazing, but I will never get to read these books because I'm a slow a slow reader right now. After COVID pandemic and everything, even if we're not through it, but like the worst of it, I kind of my reading experience shifted and I became a slower reader, and it's fine like that. I don't want to put the pressure on me, but here are the 3 books that I would love to read, but probably they will end up being read next year, maybe during Nonfiction November, but I hope sooner. So the third book that I have here that's nonfiction is Goddesses in Every Woman, Powerful Archetypes in Women's Life by Bolen. So this is quite an old book, as far as, I mean, not old like ancient book, but we're talking about 1984, which was before I was born. It's not like that ancient, but it's just a little bit before my time. And this is quite a famous book. In this book, Bolen, who is actually a psychiatrist, analyzes the profiles of goddesses taken from Greek mythology. Specifically, she has a book for gods too, but in this instance we're focusing on Greek goddesses, and she analyzes them and goes through their myths. And the idea of the book is kind of that while you're reading it, you may identify yourself with a goddess and her experience and her kind of pros and cons, let's simplify it like that, and that if you get what goddess you're more similar to, then you can actually disclose and understand a little bit more about yourself and understand how you can improve yourself, what are your weaknesses, and what are the archetypes that are kind of opposite to you that you may try and integrate in your life in order to become a more of a wholesome person, I guess, something like that. I've not read it, I just know about it because a lot of people that I know have read this book and suggested it to me, so I will see how it goes. It's a little bit strange as far as the font is concerned. I don't know if you can see it actually, but it's a little bit like more on the older side, so it's not exactly blurry, but it's like the type machine kind of print that's a little bit disturbing for me sometimes when I'm tired to read that kind of font. But sooner or later I will make it to this book because it's fascinating. And then the next one is about my dear love. I'm dying here. Yeah. My dear love, Jane Austen, and it's Jane Austen at Home by Lucy Worsley. This is a non-fiction book about Jane Austen, her life, the places that she lived, and it's quite big. I mean, it's almost 400 pages plus all the biography at the end, which means that it's very well researched. It has a bunch of pictures in it, just showing things that are described in the book, I guess. And I've shown this book quite recently in not a TBR, it was a haul, because I bought this book while I was in Latvia, and I kind of enjoy the idea of the book. I want to know a little bit more about Jane Austen herself, since I'm enjoying her novels. I've not read all of them yet, but I'm working through them, so sooner or later. And the other book, again, is a non-fiction, and again it's from the same haul as this one because I bought it in Latvia, and when I was buying it I was specifically thinking about Nonfiction November but I don't think that I will get to it this year. And it's To the Letter, A Journey Through a Vanishing World by Simon Garfield, and it's a non-fiction book about the vanishing art, let's say, of or hobby or habit simply of writing physical letters to someone. And this is something that I used to do when I was a child. Since I moved countries at the beginning, for the first years when I moved, I used to write letters to my friends and family, and then it kind of died out since the cell phones became more of a thing. And I don't know, letters still have such a deep meaning to everyone. I remember writing a letter to my now husband when we were like 1 month or 3 months into our relationship, and I just wrote him a letter and sent it to him, and I just loved the experience. He was so surprised receiving a physical letter. At the beginning he was kind of afraid because he didn't know what was written in it, but then now it's like an everlasting memory for both of us. And so I think that letters are amazing and we should not let it die as a form of communication between people. But yeah, this is a non-fiction book about letters, and I love this idea, and it makes me think about autumn and being cozy and reading something with feelings from someone else inside it. I don't know, I love it. As you may see, I love Nonfiction November. I genuinely love non-fiction books, and I hope that you will find the perfect non-fiction book for you. At the end of the month, I will try and film a wrap-up with the probably 2 books that I've read, but we will see. I hope that I will read both of them. So let me know down below, please, if there are any non-fiction books that you are highly anticipating reading, or if you're already reading something interesting, or if there is a hobby that you're passionate about and you want to try and find a non-fiction book about, but you're still searching. It's just kind of lovely to know each other in that way, because non-fiction tells a lot about people's taste. So these are mine right now, and I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you loved it, please consider the idea of leaving a like and subscribing to the channel, since I have a very small channel and every like and new subscriber counts very, very much, because that way I can meet more and more people. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you very, very soon in my next video. Bye! Ciao!